The UK Parliamentary International Development Committee was briefed on major foreign policy issues, including Gaza and Israel, and possible progress on peace negotiations in the Middle East.
Our support to UNRWA.
The fact that there are real negotiations now underway as a result of Annapolis, the fact that to an unprecedented extent the international community came behind Annapolis, not simply in terms of attendance at the original meetings in Maryland, but also then reinforcing that with financial commitments in December. The fact that we have sought to sustain that progress through the meetings of the HLC here in London and also a further quartet meeting which issued a stronger statement in terms of issues like settlement and the humanitarian needs of Gaza than I can certainly recollect, means that we continue to, as an international community, press the case for the negotiations. Now, a judgment's been made in those negotiations, and we may get onto these issues in due course, by the principal parties that they do not want to send out public messages in terms of the progress that is being made against what are very fundamental and continuing disagreements and issues for negotiation. But the clearest indications that we have, and again John's better qualified than I from an FCO point of view to discuss this, is that there are real and substantive negotiations underway. Discussions are taking place not simply between Mahmoud Abbas and Prime Minister Olmert, but also between Foreign Minister and the Palestinian Authority Chief Negotiator. Twice weekly, substantive discussions are taking place. And I think given quite how difficult these issues are, we need to be respectful of the right of the negotiators to proceed in a way that they judge is most likely to yield the outcome that we're actually looking for.
If I might just...
He was then asked about the role of Hamas, both within Gaza and relations with Israel.
A lot of emphasis was put by DFID on the fact that...
Clearly Hamas aims to portray the current situation as solely caused by Israel's actions and deploy that narrative on an ongoing basis with the public within Gaza. But I think it's right to recognise that Hamas itself has chosen violence and must accept responsibility for the rocket attacks, which pose a very real security threat to the people of Israel. And that's why, in terms of the statements that David and I have made, and in our private and our public utterances, we unreservedly condemn the continued rocket attacks from Gaza into Israel and recognise the security dilemma that then poses for the State of Israel in terms of response. But equally, we've been clear that any response by the State of Israel must be consistent with its obligations under international law, and that applies in relation to access for humanitarian aid to people within Gaza. In terms of the issue of negotiations with Hamas, clearly Abu Mazen leads in terms of the issue of negotiations in terms of resolving how the Palestinian Authority can once again be judged to be in control of Gaza, and in that sense there is an intra-Palestinian dialogue which is rightful to be respectful of the right of Abu Mazen, not simply in terms of his position in the PA but also his position within PLO to take forward. In terms of our position as a member of the quartet, our position has not changed, and on that basis we don't have contact with Hamas. I have great respect for Oxfam. Indeed, I've just been out on the airwaves in recent days complimenting them in terms of the work that they're doing with partners in Burma. But I think it's right to recognise that while NGOs, even respected NGOs within the development community, have a point of view on these issues, it's ultimately for the government to reach a view in terms of what is the right approach. The approach that we've taken is one that has been agreed in concert with international partners because we believe that the key to making progress in terms of the negotiated settlement, which is the aim of all of us, is to support the process being led by Olmert and Abbas in their bilateral talks, and we don't want to do anything which would be judged to undermine these processes or indeed to undermine the capacity of Abu Mazen to be seen to be a credible negotiating partner with the State of Israel.
Britain is keen for a negotiated peace settlement in the Middle East.